Seduction is one of the most misunderstood forces in human life. Most people think it's about romance, attraction, or desire between two people, but this book begins by quietly revealing something deeper and more unsettling. Seduction is about influence, attention, and emotional power. And before we go further, if you want to understand human behavior, psychology, and influence through timeless books, subscribe to the Book Day and become better than yesterday. This book is written by Robert Greene, the same author who studied power, strategy, and human nature through history. But the art of seduction is different. Where power is often loud and forceful, seduction is subtle. It works slowly, invisibly. It doesn't push, it pulls. Greene wrote this book after observing a pattern across centuries. The most influential people were rarely the strongest or the loudest. They were the ones who understood desire. Kings, queens, artists, leaders, and social figures didn't command loyalty through fear alone. They attracted it. They made others feel seen, valued, and emotionally engaged. One of the first ideas Greene introduces is that everyone wants to be seduced, not in a romantic sense, but emotionally. People want attention, they want meaning, they want escape from routine. Seduction works because it offers something missing: excitement, validation, mystery, hope. Seduction is not about manipulation through lies, it's about understanding emotional needs. Most people walk through life emotionally hungry. They feel ignored, predictable, unseen. The seducer notices what others overlook. They listen, they observe, they respond with presence instead of force. Greene makes an important distinction early on. Force creates resistance. Seduction creates surrender. When you force people, they push back. When you seduce them, they move willingly. This applies far beyond relationships. Leaders seduce followers, brands seduce customers, ideas seduce minds. Another core idea is that seduction begins with self-control. People who are desperate, needy, or impatient repel attraction. Seduction requires patience. It requires restraint. It requires the ability to delay gratification. Those who cannot control themselves cannot attract others consistently. Greene also warns that seduction is not harmless. It is powerful, and power always demands responsibility. This book is not encouraging exploitation. It is revealing reality. Understanding seduction allows you to use it wisely or defend yourself against it. One of the most striking ideas in this opening section is that people fall in love with how you make them feel, not with what you say or do. Feelings outlast facts. Memory favors emotion. Seduction works because it imprints emotion deeply. Greene draws from history to show that the greatest seducers were not always physically attractive. They were emotionally intelligent. They created anticipation. They knew when to appear and when to withdraw. They understood that absence can increase desire more than presence. This book challenges a common belief that attraction is accidental. Greene argues it is often crafted, consciously or unconsciously. Those who understand this craft gain influence. Those who ignore it remain confused by their own failures. To understand seduction, Robert Greene says we must first understand resistance. People do not open themselves easily. They are guarded, skeptical, and protective of their independence. This resistance is not arrogance. It is survival. And seduction does not attack resistance head-on. It dissolves it slowly. Greene explains that most people walk through life with emotional defenses. Past disappointments, betrayals, boredom, and routine harden them. They fear being controlled, judged, or made to feel small. This is why direct pressure fails. The moment people feel pushed, they pull away. Seduction succeeds because it feels like choice, not coercion. One of the first strategies of seduction is disarming through charm and presence. Charm is not flattery. It is attentiveness without demand. When someone listens deeply without needing anything in return, defenses weaken. People lower their guard when they feel safe being themselves. Greene emphasizes that seduction begins by shifting focus away from yourself. Most people are trapped in their own needs. They talk to be heard, not to understand. The seducer does the opposite. They observe. They ask questions. They let others reveal their desires, fears, and insecurities. Knowledge becomes leverage. Another critical idea in this part is creating emotional contrast. Routine kills desire. Predictability dulls interest. Seduction introduces something different, not chaos, but novelty, a different energy, a different rhythm. When people feel something new around you, curiosity awakens. Curiosity opens doors. Greene also explains why indirect approach is more powerful than direct pursuit. When interest is declared too quickly, it removes mystery. Mystery keeps attention alive. The mind fills in gaps. Imagination works harder when information is incomplete. Seduction thrives in what is suggested, not stated. One of the most powerful tools Greene discusses here is mirroring emotions, not actions. People feel understood when their emotional state is reflected. If someone is excited, match their energy. If they are calm, slow down. Emotional alignment builds trust faster than words ever could. This section also introduces the idea of withholding. Giving everything at once leaves nothing to discover. Seduction unfolds in stages. Each interaction should leave something unresolved. A thought, a feeling, a question. Desire grows in anticipation, not fulfillment. Greene warns against rushing. Impatience signals need. Need repels influence. Those who can wait appear confident, and confidence attracts naturally. Seduction rewards those who allow time to work on their behalf. The deeper lesson here is that people don't want to be convinced. They want to feel chosen. When seduction is done well, people believe they arrived at their own decision. This sense of autonomy is what makes influence feel pleasurable instead of threatening. As the book moves forward, Robert Greene introduces one of its most fascinating ideas. Seduction follows recognizable patterns, and throughout history, certain personality types have repeatedly drawn people toward them. Greene calls these seducer archetypes. These are not costumes to wear or tricks to copy. They are emotional energies that awaken desire in others. The first and most powerful archetype is the charismatic. Charismatic individuals don't seduce by effort. They seduce by belief. They radiate confidence, purpose, and certainty. People are drawn to them because they seem sure of who they are. Charisma works because certainty is rare. In a world full of doubt, people gravitate toward those who appear internally grounded. Next is the coquette. This archetype seduces through controlled distance. The coquette gives attention, then pulls it back. They create tension by being unpredictable, not cold, but not fully available either. This uncertainty keeps desire alive. People chase what they can't fully have. Greene emphasizes that the coquette is powerful because they never appear desperate. Their strength lies in restraint. Another important archetype is the ideal lover. This type seduces by making others feel uniquely understood. The ideal lover studies what someone lacks emotionally and gently provides it. Comfort, adventure, validation. They don't offer generic affection. They offer a tailored emotional experience. People fall deeply for those who make them feel seen in ways no one else does. Greene also describes the natural. This archetype seduces through authenticity and playfulness. The natural feels unburdened by social masks. Their innocence disarms. Around them, people feel relaxed, less guarded, more alive. The natural reminds others of a simpler, freer version of themselves. That emotional nostalgia is deeply attractive. What Greene wants us to understand is that no one fits only one archetype. Most people express a mix. The key is awareness. When you understand which energies you naturally project, you stop forcing behaviors that don't suit you. Seduction becomes alignment, not performance. This section of the book also carries an important warning. These archetypes can attract, but they can also manipulate. Awareness protects you. When you recognize these patterns in others, you stop being unconsciously pulled. You regain emotional balance. Greene explains that seduction works because it speaks to fantasy. People don't fall in love with reality. They fall in love with possibility. Archetypes provide emotional narratives people want to step into. Adventure, safety, meaning, escape. Another key lesson here is that seduction is most powerful when it feels natural, not calculated. Forced seduction feels empty. True influence comes when behavior aligns with inner state. Confidence without arrogance, mystery without deception, attention without neediness. Greene reminds us again that seduction begins internally. If you are restless, insecure, or seeking validation, others will feel it. Emotional self-sufficiency is the foundation of attraction. When you are complete on your own, others are drawn without pressure. As seduction deepens, Robert Greene shifts the focus from personality to timing and rhythm. Seduction is not a single act, it is a process. And like music, its power comes from packing. Too fast and it overwhelms, too slow and it fades. Mastery lies in knowing when to advance and when to withdraw. One of the most powerful tools in seduction is absence. Constant presence dulls desire. When something is always available, it loses value. Greene explains that absence creates emotional space, and in that space, imagination works. People begin to think about you, replay interactions, and assign meaning. Desire grows strongest not in contact, but in the pause between contacts. This is why Greene warns against overcommunication. Explaining too much, texting too often, or being constantly available removes mystery. Mystery is not deception, it is restraint. When people don't know everything about you, they invest mentally, and mental investment leads to emotional attachment. Greene also introduces the idea of emotional highs and lows. Seduction works by creating contrast, calm followed by excitement, distance followed by closeness. Predictability kills desire because it removes tension. Emotional variation keeps people engaged. The goal is not instability, but rhythm. Another key lesson here is the importance of leading emotions rather than following them. Many people let situations dictate how they feel. Seducers do the opposite. They subtly guide emotional tone. They bring calm to chaos, energy to boredom, depth to superficiality. This emotional leadership creates influence. Greene emphasizes that seduction is strongest when it feels effortless. Effort signals need, ease signals confidence. When someone appears relaxed and unhurried, others feel safe and intrigued. Desire flows toward those who seem complete, not those who chase it. This section also explores the power of symbolism. Small gestures, carefully chosen words, and meaningful moments carry more weight than grand displays. Seduction happens in details, a look held slightly longer, a pause before speaking, a memory created quietly. These moments linger because they feel personal. Greene also warns about crossing into obsession. Seduction should never consume your identity. Those who lose themselves in the pursuit of desire lose their power. Balance preserves attraction. Independence sustains it. At its core, this part of the book teaches that desire is not forced, it is cultivated. It grows when people feel emotionally stimulated yet free, when they feel pulled, not pushed, when attraction feels like discovery, not pressure. In this part of the book, Robert Greene slows everything down and draws a clear line between influence and control. Seduction becomes dangerous when it stops being mutual and starts becoming manipulative. Power without awareness turns attraction into obsession and obsession into harm. Greene insists that understanding this line is not optional, it is essential. Seduction can feel intoxicating, attention increases, responses become stronger, emotional dependence can quietly form. This is where many people lose themselves. They stop reading signals, they stop respecting boundaries, they confuse intensity with connection. Greene warns that when seduction turns into possession, it destroys both sides. One of the key dangers Greene highlights is emotional addiction. When someone becomes the primary source of validation, excitement, or meaning for another person, imbalance forms. Imbalance creates resentment, fear, and eventually collapse. Healthy seduction preserves autonomy. It does not replace it. Greene also explains that control often hides behind charm. Manipulation rarely looks aggressive. It looks caring, it looks protective, it looks attentive. This is why awareness matters. When influence removes choice instead of enhancing it, seduction has crossed into exploitation. This section of the book is especially important for defense. Understanding seduction allows you to recognize when someone is pulling emotional strings. Excessive flattery, sudden intimacy, isolation from others, emotional highs followed by withdrawal. These patterns are not random, they are tactics. Awareness breaks their power. Greene emphasizes that seduction should never override ethics. Influence without conscience eventually backfires. People remember how you made them feel long after attraction fades. Seduction that humiliates, controls, or destabilizes creates long-term damage to reputation and self-respect. Another major idea here is knowing when to stop. Not every attraction needs to be pursued. Not every opening should be entered. Self-restraint is a form of power. Walking away preserves dignity. Greene argues that the strongest seducers are those who can disengage without bitterness or regret. This part of the book also addresses self-seduction, which Greene sees as equally dangerous. When you become seduced by your own image, influence, or effect on others, judgment disappears. Ego replaces clarity. You begin to believe your own illusions. This is how people lose balance. Greene repeatedly returns to one principle: seduction should elevate, not diminish. It should bring vitality, curiosity, and emotional richness. When it creates anxiety, dependency, or loss of identity, something has gone wrong. The deeper lesson here is maturity. Seduction is not about taking, it's about exchange. Attention for attention, emotion for emotion, freedom for freedom. Anything else is theft disguised as charm. As The Art of Seduction comes to an end, Robert Greene leaves us with a deeper message than attraction or influence. This book is not ultimately about winning others. It is about mastering yourself. Seduction, when understood fully, is a mirror. It reveals your patience, your awareness, your emotional discipline, and your ability to remain centered in a world full of desire. Greene reminds us that seduction works best when it is natural and effortless, not forced or desperate. The moment you try to control outcomes too tightly, seduction loses its magic. Influence fades when it becomes anxious. Attraction dissolves when it becomes needy. True power comes from inner fullness, not external validation. One of the strongest closing lessons is that people are drawn to emotional independence. When someone enjoys your presence but does not depend on it, attraction feels safe and exciting. Independence signals strength. It tells others that you choose connection, not require it. This choice creates respect. Greene also emphasizes that seduction is a form of emotional intelligence. It requires empathy, observation, and restraint. Those who rush miss signals. Those who listen deeply understand timing. Awareness allows you to respond instead of react. And response, not reaction, is where influence lives. The book also serves as a warning. Seduction without self-awareness leads to emptiness. When attraction becomes a game of ego, it consumes energy without creating meaning. Greene encourages readers to use this knowledge to enrich connections, not exploit weaknesses. Another important idea in the conclusion is that the most seductive quality is presence. Being fully present makes people feel rare and valued. In a distracted world, attention is the new currency. Those who offer it sincerely stand out without effort. So what does The Art of Seduction truly teach us? It teaches that desire is emotional, not logical. That influence grows through patience, not pressure. That mystery is created through restraint, not deception. That awareness protects you from manipulation. And that self-control is the foundation of attraction. This book does not ask you to manipulate hearts. It asks you to understand human longing, to move through the world with sensitivity instead of force, with intention instead of impulse. When you understand seduction, you stop chasing attention, you attract it naturally, you stop fearing rejection, you respect choice, you stop confusing intensity with connection. In the end, the greatest seduction is not of others, but of life itself. The ability to engage fully, withdraw wisely, and remain whole no matter the outcome. And that is the real art of seduction.